Good morning, everyone. Today, back with Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. Lesson finished at page 122. Let's continue. Harry looked into Dodo's nearest pained face and felt not reassured but frustrated. Did Dodo actually really think it was that easy that Harry would simply choose not to believe? Don't Dodo understand Harry's need to know everything? Perhaps Dodo suspected Harry's feelings, for he looked concerned and hurried on. Harry deleted is dreadful. But he was interrupted by a shrill crack. Rita! Oh, I love her. I was right, huh? Harry and Dodo looked out to see Aunt Mario standing there, the plums dancing on her head, a goblet of champagne in her hand. She's reading about Mario. Hello, Mario, said Dodo. Yes, you were just discussing. Loser, give me your share. I'm 107. Another red-headed Weasley cousin jumped off his seat, looking alarmed at Auntie Miriam. Swung it around with surprising strength and plopped herself down upon it between Dodo and Harry. Hello again, Bonnie, or whatever your name is, she said to Harry. Now, what are you saying about Rita Skeeter, You know, she'd written a biography of Dumbledore. I can't wait to read it. And remember to play the note of the flowers and bunch. The dog looked stiff and solemn at this, but Auntie Mario drained her goblet and clicked her bony fingers at a passing waiter for replacement. She looked another large gulp of champagne, belched, and then said, "There's no need to look around aware of shops of frogs. The four, okay, so respectful and respected, and all that dodge. There's some mighty funny rumors about hallows." "It went from snipping," said Doge, turning reddish colored again. "You won't say that, Alpheus," cackled Auntie Maria. "I noticed you're scanning over the sticky patches in that obituary of yours." "I'm sorry you think so," said Doge, more coldly still. "I'll show you I was writing it from the heart." "Oh, we all know you worship Dumbledore. I dare say you still think he was a saint, even if it does turn out what he did away with his squib sister. Mario!" exclaimed this Doge. A chill that had nothing to do with the iced champagne was stealing through Harry's chest. "What do you mean?" he asked Mario. "Who said his sister was a squib?" "I thought she was ill." "Thought wrong, then, didn't you, Bonnie?" said Auntie Maria, looking delighted at the fact she had produced. "Anyway, how could I expect to know anything about it? It all happened years and years before you even thought of it, my dear. And the truth is that those of us who are alive and never knew what really happened. That's why I can't wait to find out what Skeeter's unearthed. Dumbledore kept that system of us quiet for a long time." "Untrue," whisked Doge. "Absolutely untrue." "He never told me his sister was a squib," said Harry, without thinking, still cold inside. "And why on earth would he down you?" squeaked Mario, swaying a little in his seat, and as she attempted to focus upon Harry. "The reason Albus never spoke about Ariana," began Alpheus, in a voice stiff with emotion. "Yes, I should have thought quite clear she was so devastated by her death." "Why did nobody see her, Alpheus?" squeaked Mario. "Why didn't half of us never even know she existed until they carried the coffin out of the hills and held a funeral for her?" "Well, was saintly Albus, while Ariana was locked in the cellar, of being a brilliant at Hogwarts and never mind what was going on in his own house." "What do you mean, locked in the cellar?" asked Harry. "What is this?" Harry looked wretched. Auntie Mario cackled again and answered Harry. "Dumbledore's mother was a terrifying woman. Simply terrifying, muggle-born, though I heard she pretended otherwise. She never pretended anything of that sort. Kendra was a fine woman, whispered Doge miserably. But Auntie Muriel ignored him. Proud and very demoralized. The sort of what have been more of my trouble is a squib. Ariana was not a squib, whispered Doge. So you say, Alpheus, but explain then. Why she never attended Hogwarts, said Auntie Muriel. She turned back to Harry. Nowadays, screams are often hushed up, though to take it down the extreme of actually imprisoning a little girl in the house, pretending she didn't exist. I tell you, that's not what happened, said Doge. But Auntie Muriel steamrolled on, still addressing Harry. Squibs were usually shipped off to Muggle schools and integrated into Muggle community. Much kinder than trying to find democracy in the wizarding world, where they must announce always second class. But naturally, Kendra Dumbledore wouldn't have dreamed of letting her daughter to go to a Muggle school. Ariana was a delicate, said Doge desperately. Her health was always too poor to permit her to leave the house, cackled Muriel. And yet she was never taken to St. Mungos, and no healer was ever summoned to see her. Really, Muriel, how can you possibly know whether, for your information, Alpheus, my cousin Lancelot, was a healer at St. Mungos at the time when he told my family in strictest confidence that Ariana had never been there, see? Almost suspicious, Lancelot thought. Doge looked to be on the verge of tears. Aunt Muriel, who seemed to be enjoying herself hugely, snapped her fingers for more campaign. Numbly, Harry thought of how the Dursleys had once shut him up, locked him away, kept him out of sight, and all for the crime of being a wizard. Had Dumbledore's sister suffered the same fate in reverse, imprisoned for her lack of magic? And had Dumbledore truly left her in prison to her fate, and while he went to Hogwarts to prove himself brilliant and talented? Now, if Kendra hadn't died first, Muriel assumed. I'd have said that it was she who finished off Ariana. How can you, Muriel? Groaned Doge. Your mother killed her own daughter. Think what you're saying. If the mother in question was capable of imprisoning her daughter for years on end, why not? Shrugged Auntie Muriel. But as I say, it didn't fit, because Kendra died before, and Rihanna of what nobody ever seemed sure. Oh, no doubt Ariana murdered her, said Doge, with a brave attempt at scorn. Why not? Yes, Ariana might have made a desperate bid for freedom and killed Kendra in a struggle, said Auntie Muriel thoughtfully. Shake your head all you like, Alpheus. You were at Ariana's funeral, were you not? Yes, I was, said Doge, with trembling lips, and more desperately an occasion I cannot remember. Albus was heartbroken. That wasn't the only thing. Didn't Albus break Albus's nose halfway through the surface? If Doge had looked horrified before this, it was nothing to how he looked like that. Muriel might have stabbed him. She cackled loudly and took another swig of champagne, which dribbled down her chin. How do you quote that? My mother was friendly with all the back till the back shot, said Auntie Muriel happily. Matilda described the whole thing to Mother while I was listening at the door. A coffin shined wrong the way Matilda told it. Alpha shouted that it was all Albus's fault that Ariana was dead, and then punched him in the face, according to Matilda. Albus did not even defend him. That's odd enough in itself. Albus could have destroyed Aberforth to deal with the both hands tied behind his back. Mario swigged yet more campaign. The recitation of these old scandals seemed to elate her as much as they horrified Doge. Harry did not know what to think, what to believe. He wanted to the truth, and yet all Doge did was sit there and bleat. we believe was that Brianna had been ill. Harry could hardly believe that Dumbledore would not have intervened if such cruelty was happening in his own house, and yet there was undoubtedly something odd about the story. "And I will tell you something else," Morel said, hiccoughing and slightly, as she lowered her goblet. "I think Matilda has spilled the beans to Rita her own hence, and Skeeter's interview about an important source. Goes Dumbledore. Goodness knows she was still with them all through the Ariana's business, and it would fit." "Matilda would never talk to Rita Skeeter," whispered Dodge. "Matilda Bagshot?" Harry said. "The author of A History of Magic?" The name was printed on the front of one of Harry's textbooks, though admittedly not one of the what he had read most attentively. "Yes," said Dodge, clutching at Harry's question like a drowning man. A life belt. A most gifted magical historian in all strength of Albuses. "Quite gaga these days, I've heard," said Auntie Muriel cheerfully. "If that is so, that it is even more dishonorable for Skeeter to have taken advantage of her," said Dodge. "No reliance can be placed on anything but tell them I have said." "Oh, there are ways of bringing her back memories, and I am sure Rita Skeeter knows them all," said Auntie Maria. "But even if Matilda's completely cuckoo, I'm sure she'd still have old photographs, maybe even letters. She knew the Dumbledores for years while walking to the Godric Hollow, I'd have thought." Harry, who had been taking a sip of the butterbeer, choked. Doug banged him on the back as Harry coughed. Look at Auntie Maria. Through streaming eyes, once he had controlled his voice, he asked, "But to the Bagshot lives Godric's Hollow?" "Oh, yes, she's been there forever. The Dumbledores moved there after Percival was imprisoned, and she was their neighbor." "The Dumbledores live in Godric's Hollows?" "Yes, Barry, that's what I just said Auntie Maria testily. Harry felt drained, empty. Never once in 6 years had Dumbledore told Harry that they had both lived and lost a loved ones in Godric Hollow. Why? Were Lily and James buried close to Albus's mother and sister? Had Dumbledore visited their graves, perhaps walked past Lily's and James to do so, and he had never once told Harry, never bothered to say? And why it was so important Harry could not explain, even to himself, yet he felt it had been tantamount to a lie not to tell him that they had this place and these experiences in common. He stared ahead of him, barely noticing what was going on around him, and did not realize that Hermione had appeared out of the crowd until she drew up a chair beside him. "Simply can't dance anymore," she panted, slipping off one of her shoes and rubbing the sole of her foot. Once gone and looking to find some more butterbeers. It's a bit odd. I just seen Victor storming away from Luna's father. It looked like they'd been arguing." She dropped him, her voice staring at Harry. "Harry, are you okay?" Harry did not know what to begin, but it did not matter. At that moment, something large and silver came falling through the canopy over the dance floor. Graceful and gleaming, the lynx landed lightly in the middle of the astonished dancers. His turned as those nearest him froze absurdly in mid-dance. Then the Patronus' mouth opened wide, and there spoke the loud, deep, slow voice of Kingsley Shacklebolt. "The Ministry has fallen. Scrimgeour is dead. They are coming." Well, I think we'll leave it here, guys, for tomorrow on page 128 on chapter 9, A Place to Hide. So see you next time. Bye.